Hello everyone, welcome back to the day 3 for our HP UFT training. Let's continue with where we left in the previous session and move forward. So primarily team, we're going to use the same Excel which is in the Google Sheet right now to be able to go forward with what the next steps are in terms of our first project on data-driven framework. But before I get started, I just want to make sure that I do a couple of communications team to everyone so that it's very clear for all of us. Team number 1 is that day 4 may be on a new GoToWebinar link. So the paid members will get a new link to be able to register and join from day 4 onwards. And day 4 will be on Monday, which is I don't know the exact date, but let's see. It's going to be 27th April. All right. From there on, we'll have about 4 to 5 sessions a week. Okay. There may be a gap in between either the projects, or we will, as the sessions continue, I will let you know if there are any kind of gaps in between, just for you to practice or catch up on certain aspects and areas. Okay. So please do note that in this session, a few of you are not yet premium members. Premium members are the ones who have paid in for the entire program and have joined. Only they will get the link for this day 4. So I want to make sure, team, if you are one of these participants who is not yet paid into it, you will definitely need to make a payment to get the link to continue from day 4 onwards. So please make sure that that has happened so that the Google Drive, the access to the complete video library of HP, QTP, UFT, all the tutorials and the live sessions will be shared with you, team. All right. Sorry. All right, so that's one communication I just want to make sure that you all have. Now let's continue with our next steps on the session. So team, yesterday what we did is we started to add the objects to the object repository. We did one more step after this, which I want to make sure that is written out here. And that step, let me just call it a 6.1. And that is name the objects in OR in a logical manner. So that's one thing that we've been doing. And this also we have done some progress. So I'll just put that here. And we started to write the automation script for the first test case. So I'll just put it as 5% for now. All right. So let's continue with the script and see where we left it. So this was the script ddf1_mc. I will save this today as ddf2_mc. That way we have multiple versions to refer as you go through each of these sessions, team. All right. Okay, so ddf1 is there. Now I'm going to change this to ddf2. Okay, so what happens when you save a test? As you see, it is saving right now, and all the resources, primarily the script, the object repository, everything will get stored into this new test. Okay, all of these are there currently in my local drive, and when I share the files at the end of the project, end of each project is when I share the files with you. I do not share the files in between the sessions. So once we complete the projects, you will have access to all these files. You can take it and refer to them as you go along. If you need to be practicing, which I strongly recommend going forward, to practice along with me, look at the videos and try and do the same on your system. That is how you'll get hands-on expertise, team. And the most important thing in this case is the hands-on expertise. So team, now let's continue with the script and let's move forward to the next one. How big are these fonts right now for each of you? Is it clear enough, or should we try and increase the font size? Let me see if I can increase it. All right. Let's see. So I'm gonna right click here and click on no, not here. Let's go to edit, format, view, I'm still trying to see where these fonts are. It should be in one of these places. Let's say tools. It should be here. Right click on this steps. It will not be in these settings. Tools. Let's see options. GU startup options, run sessions, output pane, no startup options. Let's look at text editor. This is the one we wanted. We wanted to go to text editor. So let's look at that and look at font and colors. Under font and colors, now do you see it's consoles? Size is 10. We will try and increase it to 14 and see how it shows up. Okay, there you go. Now big enough, everyone? So that's how we increase the font. And team, the idea is for you also to play around, because it is very tough for you to remember everything that is there in the tool, because there's so many features, and I don't want you to use your memory, your own mind up for remembering where is each and everything. You can easily explore like I just did, even if you're a professional, to find certain solutions. What you should definitely remember is the process of doing certain things, how we go about executing and so on. All right. All right. So great. So team, let's continue with the coding without any further delay. Now what we've done is we said first step of opening up Internet Explorer and going to a URL. How did we do that? The first part of it is called systemutil.run. All right. And then the next part, we have given it in quotes. We said, what is the program that we're going to run, which is a system utility function, which is iexplore.exe, which refers to the exe file that is used to launch an Internet Explorer. The comma, the second information that we gave is the URL for that. All right. So that is how we are launching a website and going to a specific URL. And this is our application under test URL. The next step is to go to a specific web edit field called home value and put a value there for 550,000. How did we do that? There are two portions to it. The first portion, team, is identifying the object, and that we call as the where part. Okay, where is that object located? How do we identify it? Like I said, you need to go to my office, to my cubicle, and pick up that file. That is the where part. The next portion of this is the what part. What is, once you've identified that object, what is it that you want to do? You want to open that file that I've said and said, write something there. Depending on the type or the class of an object, you will see that the method that you can perform will change. And in this case, the what is the set. Set is a function or a method built in that will take a value and put it into that specific web edit field. Fair enough, everyone? That is how we have got to execute the step 7 to put a value of 550,000. Now, to do the same, enter loan amount. What we're going to do now is we will start doing the same. And team, I want you all to write the steps. I don't want you to just come up and copy, paste and so on. Just physically write them, because that is what will give you the practice. So browser IE dot page. Why did IE come up automatically? Because in the object repository, there is only one object of type browser and the name of that object is IE. Do you see how clearly I said this? There is only one object in the object repository of type browser and the name is IE. That is why it picked up. Now, how many objects are there in the object repository of class or type page? How many are there, team? There is only one, which is under browser. So as soon as I open up the quotes, as soon as I put this, home page will come up because that is the name of it. Finally, I'm going to put a dot. Now, I think it's a good time for you to notice as soon as we put dot, there are so many suggestions that are coming up out here, correct? What are the suggestions and how are they relevant to us? What you need to notice, team, are three types of icons in here. Do you see the first icon, which is like a brick with a motion sign? That means that is an action. Someone is throwing a brick. They're doing something. So on this page, you can perform different activities. For example, capture bitmap or check property, child objects, and so on. There are so many methods that you can perform even on the page. As you take your mouse over each of them or you click on any of them, it will give you the suggestion of what it does. It returns the value of the specified identified property. Now, from your perspective, you don't need to master everything right away. There are a few of them we'll start using as we go along. As you keep working, you should know how to do new things, how to take new actions which are mentioned here and work with them. So that is the first type of activity that you can perform in this. The second, like exist and object, these are called properties. There are certain object properties which we'll explore later. That is easy for you to understand. The third one, team, is under this, if there are any child objects, even that will get listed. So for example, a web button or web edit or web list. These are the ones which are there under this page in the object repository. Are there not images or links on the web page? Yes, there are. Why are they not showing up here? Because they're not yet in the object repository. There could be 200 or 300 items in that web page that we saw. Maybe less, maybe more, I'm not sure, just a random guess. Or it could be 50, 60 only. Out of these, we have only added 5 or 6 under 10 into the object repository. Your code, your VB script code that we are writing all out here is only recognizing those specific objects which we added. It will not yet recognize anything else. How will it recognize? Only if you do a record or you physically add that object to the repository. That way, you are only trying to use smartly only those resources which are needed. In this case, we are saying web edit. So web edit is a child object under page. Once I open the brackets, why does it show me 4 objects now? Browser showed me only IE, page showed me only home page, but web edit, why is showing me so many objects? Because once again, in the object repository, if you go to it, do a Control R or go under resources and click on it. Control R is the shortcut for it. I guess the system is only a 4 GB RAM and not a great processor. So that's why the speed is so slow. Team, all of a sudden the battery has died down. Give me 1 second, please. Let me put it for charging. Sorry about that. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. But still fixing this up, so 1 minute please. Okay, everyone, all good? Can you all hear me okay? Just want to make sure because we got the small break in between. All right, great, thank you. Team, I know there are a few questions that have come up, but I will answer them as and when I give a break within the session. So team, if you notice once again, I'm taking things very slowly, gradually for the first few sessions because we are laying the foundation. It is the most critical portion of our entire learning. And then we'll really pick up a lot of speed. So here we have only 4 objects of type web edit. So as soon as we say web edit, those are the ones which are coming as suggested. So once again, open the square round brackets. And you will see these objects. So now we are interested in loan amount. How much is the value for loan amount? First, we need to use the method called set, which will take the value that we give and put it inside that specific object. And the value that we are saying is we want 450,000 as the loan amount. So that is done. Now similarly, we'll continue to do this. If you notice team, almost everything is going to be in the same browser and page. So now I'll copy this portion to just take it a little faster and say web edit again. So it will come up. Now we are interested in interest rate or rate. And see how easy for us it is when we are typing and writing the code to see what the field is and kind of be able to associate it with it very easily. That's why we're giving logical name. We're not giving a name for a small dog as giant or something. We're trying to name them logically. That way it's easy for us. Set what is the rate that we want to put. Luckily we have already documented what we need to do. So there's no more thinking, should we put 4.5 or 5.5? No, that decision we've already made. And one of the toughest things we as humans have to do every day is decide what to do. In this case, we have planned it well. We said exactly what we want to do and we're going about doing it. So once again, web edit, loan term. And now in this case, we're putting it as 30. Finally, we're going to click on calculate and get, again, Control V, dot web edit calculate. Why is calculate not showing up here, team? It's supposed to show up, right? Why is it not showing up? Yes, because it is not of type web edit. Calculate is of a different class. What class is it? Web button. So now we're going to say instead of dot web edit, it is a web button. And as soon as you put it, how does calculate come up automatically? Because that's the only one. Now we will do a set on it. Why is set not coming up? Dot set on a web button. See, this is the only way you will learn and you will master anything. Okay, not by just following instructions and looking at how automation scripts are. Fundamentals and foundations, these are. The reason set is not showing up, team, because it is a web button. You can't take a car and say fly, right? Or you can't take a bike and say, drive at 70 miles an hour. You cannot. Depending on the class of an object, the type of an object, what you can do with it will change. Correct? So in this case, we're going to say dot click. What will we do as humans with a web button on a web page? We will click on it. That is the method that we're going to perform. Okay. Finally, we're talking about read or capture monthly payment, team. We have not yet come to this. We will be coming to this very shortly. Right now, let us try and execute this code. Okay. And see if it seems to be working. Couple of things, team, before you do a run. There are two things that I don't want to happen. First is under options, if you expand, you will see there's something called as a results location. Don't worry about input parameters for now. I will show you some videos where you can talk about input parameters for every test. In fact, what we do is our parameters that we will use will be much stronger and they will come directly from a different location. and we will get to it later. But in the results location, we will talk about, we don't want to view the results. There's no new run results folder. Every time I run this test, a new folder will get created in your system and it will just eat away the memory. You don't want it. You will just say use temporary results. Okay. Why are we not interested in this kind of a results right now? Let me briefly tell about that because it's very important. I'm not saving this team. This is just what I showed at the beginning of the session. As I said, team, there are a few questions that are there. They're important questions, but I'll come to it as we go along, please. Okay. What happened to my mouse all of a sudden? Okay, there you go. So why am I not looking at results? I'm going to explain that concept very clearly. We are talking about automation testing. Okay. Automation testing. This is our focus area. Okay. The difference is basically there are two parts into it. The first is called automation and the second is called as testing. Okay. These are the two parts into what we are doing. 90% of our time and effort will be spent in that first portion. How to automate it correctly. How to do the right job in automating. The testing portion where we actually testing the application to see if it is working correctly is a very small portion towards the end. So unless we make sure that our automation scripts are correct and running good, we will do that later. So the 10% is not for now, team. Okay, it is for later. So the testing is not something that is we are interested in right now. Once we master automation, we'll get into testing. That is the reason I don't want you to focus on this run results. So we will always move it to temporary until we get to the testing portion. Okay. The next one, team, which I don't want you to do is go to tools, go under options, and if you look at run sessions, there will be one thing here where it says view results when run session ends. These are something called as test results. We are not interested in these test results at this point in time. Yes, they are important. Yes, we will look at them, but we will look at them at a later point in time, not currently. Okay. The reason again is automation testing. We are not yet getting into the testing. We are trying to master how to automate, how to give instructions in VB scripting so that the application can understand, UFT can understand. Okay. So we're going to uncheck this. How did I come here? Once again, let's go to tools. Let's go to options. Let's go to run sessions. And here I have unchecked the view results when run session ends. Otherwise, it will come up with a new pop-up at the end of it and it will show you that, hey, here are the results of the test you just did. Good results. It shows in a very nice manner what has happened, but we are not interested in that yet. So let's run this and see how the execution happens. All right. Ideally, as I told also earlier, team, you should try and keep your browsers closed so that it does not interfere with your automation runs. Your system is trying to take access and control of your browsers and you don't want it to happen. Now, see, it seems to be happening, but it's not. Okay, now it's showing up. There are two browsers open already. I don't know why two browsers got opened. It was only supposed to be one. As soon as this page loads, it will start doing some activity. It is now trying to execute step 7, but there is some issue that's happening here. So if you notice, team, looks like what has happened here is we don't know. You can see there's a unified functional testing out here. It's going on and it does have a browser here. There seems to be other browsers also opened up, 2 of them, and there's some kind of an execution that is happening. And you're not giving it the right atmosphere to be able to run. So first, we're going to close all these windows. It seems to be doing it, but once we close this windows, it will find some issue and throw up something for us. So team, here is one of the most essential components of your learning. I just want to make sure, team, my audio is good, because I just got a note saying that I may have an issue with the audio problem. Can I get a confirmation from everyone that the audio is good? Looks like everyone is good. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue. Run error. What is a run error, team? What is a run error? Very simple. I've asked the robot to go to my office, go to my desk, find the file and do something, correct? In doing this process, it could not follow a specific instruction. I have asked it to run, I have asked it to do an execution of what I wanted it to do, but it failed in that. And when it fails to do that, it will give you a message that will let you recognize what the issue is, identify a solution to it, and then go about changing it and making sure that we've improved from it. Okay. So out here, if you notice, it says cannot find the rate object's parent IE. Verify that parent properties match an object currently displayed in the application. It also tells me which line, and it also gives me a tip saying what it could be. Then you have the different options where you can stop this test, retry that, skip the step and go to the next one, or get into a debug mode. These are the options that we have, and we will get into these as we go along in a very deep manner. But right now it is very important for you to read and understand one piece of the code. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, get it up here, and let's do a little talk about this. Format, font. Yeah, looks like this system is really not that fast. So format is fine. Wrap. What wrap? Okay, there you go. Yeah, definitely the font size is a little too high. I'm going to reduce it. And team, if you look at it, how much I'm focusing on these fundamental areas, very critical. That is the reason. Because once we go into the next sessions, we will only quickly walk through such things and so on. So look at the statement. Read word by word and make sure you can understand what it is. Cannot find the rate object. Are we saying that it cannot find the rate? What is the rate object? It is the web edit object which is there in the application. Is it not finding the rate object, team? Is that what it's saying? Yes or no? Yes or no? It cannot find the rate object, correct? Okay, now I've got more yeses than no, and the answer is no. I didn't ask for a reason, I just said yes or no. It cannot find the rate object? No, it is not saying that. It is saying it cannot find the rate object's parent. And what is that parent? IE. It cannot find the browser itself. Only after it finds the browser, you can go into the page and the web edit. So the messenger that I've asked to do something cannot even locate my office. Forget about going to my cubicle or my find the file, right? So it has to be very clear, team. Your thought process should be clear. Your ability to read and understand English very well. All right. It cannot find the browser itself. Why it cannot find the browser? Because we closed it. Who closed it? I closed it. So even before the messenger went to my office, we said office is closed. Either because of the timing or we moved or whatever. So look at the different ways in which the issues can come up. But if you think that rate object is not there, what we may do? We may try and find a solution to this issue. We'll go and see, is the file there? Is the object, is the office desk there? No, read it properly and make sure that you understand the root cause. That is when we can solve a problem. Okay. Now, it says it cannot find the browser itself. Why? Because we did an issue. Now, let us rerun this. I'm going to stop this test and run it again from the beginning. And this time, I make sure that the IE browser is closed. Now, let's hope that options are remembered. Again, it says new run results folder. No, I want it to temporary run results folder. And now let's run it. Good. It has opened up IE. It has gone to the website. It started putting the values and it clicked on calculate. Perfect. Hopefully it will get the results that we want and it will display it out here. Now let's see. So do you see UFT blinking? That means it is waiting on something. And if you've noticed, it has finished the execution. It is now in a ready status. Fair enough, everyone? That is how we went about executing the first step. Now, I have not yet come to the 7 and 8. We will, okay? In the next 2-3 days, we will get into this because it's going to be very interesting how we do it. But in this class, what we wanted to do apart from this, let's talk about going back to our Google Drive, Project 1 DDF Google Sheets. That's what we were interested in. Choose add-ons. Let's see what add-ons are there. I need this. BHO Manager class is the one which will help you to be able to run this automation scripts. That is from HP. So you want that to be enabled. You should not disable it. So very good. So name the objects, write the automation script for each test case. So we've done some progress here. We're going to make it 15%. Now create test data and local variables in the script. What does it mean, team? What does it mean? Very simple, team. You have a formula. What is that formula? The formula is basically saying that you have an application or a process or a box and it does a specific activity. What is the activity that is performed? Depending on the inputs that you give, it does specific output. Okay, so the way this specific box, activity or process works is depending on what inputs you give and what outputs we get. Now, for example, let's say if it is a car, okay, what are the inputs that you give to a car and what are the outputs that we get from a car? Inputs are things like type of a gas, the amount of acceleration, the gear in which we're going, and the road conditions, the steering, the driver, and so on. There are so many parameters that we are passing into the car. Once you start giving this, the amount of speed or the direction of the car or how it moves or acceleration is all dependent on these inputs. These are the input parameters that drive such an engine or such an activity or a process. Let us say you're manufacturing a drug. So the amount of, what do you call that? The percentage or the amount of ingredients that you put in what kind of a volume or quantity will decide what will be the output of the drug. And its use is different, correct? That is what we do in the chemical industry. And this we do in the automobile. Now, similarly, every application, specifically applications which are data sensitive, specifically for data-driven framework, which you'll understand later, we will have to work with something called as here local variables or parameters. In this case, for a mortgage calculator, what are those inputs? Those inputs are things like home value, loan amount, interest rate, the loan term, and so on. Once you change this, the output will change. What is the output, team, for this application? Can someone tell me, please? What is the output for this application? This is an application that takes inputs, and here are all the inputs. What are the outputs? Be very clear, team. I ask clear questions. I want clear answers. There cannot be any question about it. Give me the correct answer, everyone. Correct. It's not mortgage amount and so on. Monthly payment. That is the basic one. Okay. That is the first. Yes, there are more things like that, like payout date or total of 360 payments, total interest paid. Why am I emphasizing so much and being such a, specific person to say only monthly payment or say total interest paid exactly like that and not anything that you assume? Because that is your communication skill, and it is very important thing. You have to be very clear in what you're saying and what you're doing. We are getting this correct mortgage repayment summary, and all these values will change. the graph will change, and everything of this what you see is changing on it accordingly. Alright, that is the output. So these are the inputs and we can change them out here. So one way to do it is, say instead of 550 I want to do 650. Okay, I go here and change it. And I go here also and I change it to, instead of 450,000, I'll say 500,000. So you can change it out here. But the right way to do this, team, is, let's save this as once again please. DDF3, that way we have different versions that you can refer to, team, as we go along. What we're going to do in 5-6 days for the first project 1 data driven framework, we're going to repeat one more data driven framework and we'll do it in 2 days exactly, okay, and learn new things also. Then it will be a great recap and summary for you. In this case now what we will do is we will start defining those parameters. We will say what are those input parameters for this test. Input parameters or variables is the same thing, team, okay, is referring to the same thing. There is not much of a difference in them. It is just how we recognize them. The idea is very simple. Once you change these values, the output will also change. How do we give that information? Very simple, team. The way we do it is this. I will say for the home value, I'll just say V home value equals 650,000. What did I do? I have created a new location in the memory of the script which will store this value. Anytime I want to call this, I just call it by the name and I put that out here and I say V home value. Now, without doing any more parameters, let us try and execute this test and see what happens. There are a few browsers open. Let's close them and rerun the test. So team, except for a possible complaint of the speed is very slow and gradual, any other issues that you're finding in how we are progressing? Because speed is something that I'm controlling right now, as there's a lot of important areas that we need to do focus on. Any other issues anyone facing in how we are proceeding with the session, team? Audio issues, it's cracking sometimes. Is it for everyone? That's interesting. I don't know why is the audio coming up. Every time? Did it happen yesterday also? No. Even the screen? I see. Give me 1 second. Let me see what it could be. I will quickly try and see by restarting just my Wi-Fi. This one. Give me 1 second, please. How is it now, team? Do you still think there's a lot of issue with audio? Team, how is it now? All right, team. So looks like it's a little better. I just restarted my Wi-Fi extender out here, so it should be good, I hope. If you face any other issue, let me know, please, so that I'll try and find a solution. The good part is, hopefully, at least when I'm doing the session and I'm doing the recording, it should have a clarity. But I understand time is of most important for you and us and everyone else. Now, what happened, team? What happened when we did the execution? Did the test run correctly? Was there any issue with the execution of the test itself? No. So everything good? Can we say that yes, everything went well? There's no run error, right? There's no run error. Yeah, but then did everything go good? The test is not complete, team, till you go and look at what was the output that came up. And if you look at here, it says that there is some problem here. Warning, division by 0 in blah blah blah. Now, does this seem to be an application error? Or does this seem to be a script error? And this is so fundamentally important. 80% of automation engineers make mistake in this area. There are 3 components, team, that you should always remember. The UFT or the VB script that we do, the application itself, and any kind of an external or additional data or information that we provide. So your script could be wrong, your application could be wrong, or your data could be wrong. Now, when we are going in the process of trying to evaluate and see what is wrong, you should look at your script, your data, or any additional information that you provide to run the script, like your input parameters and so on. And finally, you should say the application, because unless you are a good doctor or you're a good mechanic or you're a good troubleshooter, you can never really diagnose and say what the problem is with the patient or with the vehicle and so on. The last one that you should ever suspect is the application. First, suspect your code or the additional data that you're giving. Once you know that your code is correct and the data is correct, then you say, looks like it's an application problem. Now, in this case, what do you think is the problem? Is it the data? Is it the application? Or is it the script? Number 1, if you see, did we want vHome value here? What is this parameter and what did we want? Let's look at that also in a brief manner. So, the variable or the parameter is like a contact number in your cell phone, team. Every contact that you have in your cell phone, the numbers that you don't store as contacts, you dial them directly. But every other number that you have in your phone is having a name to that contact and a number that is associated with it, correct? Now, when you dial the person, do you dial the name? No, you're dialing actually the number. But how do you call it? You call it by the name of that contact person in the phone. And it automatically takes the number that is associated. And in fact, you will have different numbers also. First number is mobile, second number is landline, third number is off work number, and so on. Depending on what you put, it will take the number associated with it, with that name, and then dial it. Correct? Now, similarly, out here, when I say vHome value, that is the name that we have given to that variable, vHome value. So when I say I want the value in vHome value, I have to call it using that name. I don't want the name itself. The name is just a reference to it. You don't want the name. You want the value that is there stored under that name. So in this case, what we did in the script, which is not correct, team, which seems to be a script problem rather than anything else, is we gave vHome value in quotes. Once you give anything in quotes, VB script will take it as is and try and execute it. It will not take the value inside it. As soon as you put anything in the quotes, it will assume it exactly, because that is called of a type string. We will come to data types and so on in the next class. It will become more interesting for you and fun. But I want you to understand that if you want to call a variable by its name so that it gets the value that is associated in the variable, you use the variable name without the quotes. And now this should take care of that issue. So where was the problem? Was it in the application, in the script, or in the data that we gave? Give me an answer, please. I gave you 3 options. script is the issue. Anywhere else, data is not correct. Because data is correct. V home value 650,000 is correct. But the script, I put quotes which I was not supposed to. So it was a programming error. And that is where the issue is. Anywhere else the issue is, you think, apart from script? What if I tell you that application also is having an issue? If I am a user, okay, would I know or understand what this is? Do you know what this is, team? What is calculated.tpl.php on line 103? What line 103 are we saying? What is division by 0? What is this warning? What is this location user www web serve mortgage calculator, all of this? This happened because an unknown error was made in the application. The application could not handle it. It threw an error. Ideally, it could have given a more custom message to the user saying, sorry, some value that you've entered seems to be not in the expected format. Please check again. Instead, it gave this message because it didn't handle it. Why didn't it handle it? Because testing was not done completely on these applications. They didn't realize that users may come and enter something which is incorrect and suddenly get something like this. And that is the reason this has come up now. Am I making sense, team? So the issue is definitely in the script, but the bigger issue is it's also an application error. The feedback that has to come from an application to the viewer or user of that should be more user friendly. It should be more apt. This is basically saying the application crashed. Some crazy user came and accidentally put something else and this crashed. Okay, so this is all viewpoint, team. This is how we start to think. And this is something that I emphasize very, very significantly in all that I do in the career. Now, let's go on the fast track and start talking about few more. So, V loan amount equals 500,000. Then what else is there? Rate and term. So, V rate equals 4.5 and V term equals 30, correct? 30 years is what we're referring. So similarly, let us go and change it here. So this is V loan amount. Did I do this correct, team? No. Why? You just learned from bitter experience when we did the execution that you should not give the variable names in quotes. How do you know this? Now you know it because you faced a challenge, you faced an issue, the test didn't run as expected, you saw it and you learned it. That is how, team, I keep emphasizing that please learn from these experiences each time and then we do it. V rate is done and now V term. Okay. So save all of these and now let's execute it again. Make sure that the browser is closed. You can always put the browser to be closed at the end of this test. I am not doing it yet only because we want to see what is happening in the browser during the test execution. Now let's do one more run and see. Luckily, temporary run results is still selected, which is good. Why are we not looking at results? Because we're not testing it yet. We're just executing to see if the automation portion is run correctly. So now we've done this and we're clicking on calculate. So what did we get, team? Everything went well? Did we get what we wanted? Any run error that came up? No, looks like ready. So the execution was done correctly. What else is there? Where is that mortgage summary that we were supposed to get, team? Mortgage repayment summary report. Why didn't it come? Actually, you know what? Did you notice this loan term must be in the range from 1 to 50? Of course, I gave 30. Why is it not coming? Let's try and execute this again manually on this application. Now I got the chart and the summary. Why didn't it come earlier? Let's run the script again. See how I'm trying to approach things, team? This is the fundamental process of debugging and trying to identify if there's any root cause that is asking, making it fail. So I saw it, or we saw it rather together one time that it happened. Now we're trying to replicate it. Same thing again. Loan term must be in the range from 1 to 50. Why didn't we give the loan term? Yeah, we gave 30. Now what's the problem? And that is where, team, we have to be very careful in looking at everywhere. Number one, what is V term? Equals 30. Number two, in the script, where are we using V term? Out here, line 24. Did it throw an error? No, team, it didn't throw an error. So I will look at this and see here. It is VTARM instead of VTERM, and that is incorrect. Where did the mistake happen? Is it the data that I provided? Is it the script or application? It is again the script. And if you look at a lot of these things are deliberately done by me. I am not making an honest mistake. I am doing it so that you understand where things can fail. But lot of times you will see as we go through the projects, I will make a very honest mistake, human error. Like for example, we were trying to find how to increase the size of the font. I could not find it right away, but I know and have the confidence that once we have the right thinking on our mind, we will start doing it, we'll start finding it. Now, what is the fix for it? V term. But this is simple human errors. How can we overcome such things? That is where we use a concept called option explicit. Okay, let me explain very briefly. We have another 3 minutes to go, team. What option explicit is and why is it important? As a programming language, there are certain norms and procedures that have to be followed. Okay, you have to follow certain protocol. For example, you join, let's say, Google. The dress code may be different. But for example, you join a Citibank or a General Electric. The dress code may be different. Depending on the organization that you're working, you will dress up according to that. You're going for a formal wedding, you will dress differently. You're going for a casual party, you will dress differently, right? So every programming language in a similar fashion asks the developers to do things in a certain manner. Programming languages like C# or .NET and Java are very strict about certain things. They say you have to do it this way only. I will not let developers do and write code anyway. They're very strict in terms of their nomenclature and syntax. VBScript is very free. They will not say, hey, name the variables uppercase, lowercase. If you said system.util.run or you said uppercase system.util.run, it does not bother. Other programming languages will. So VBScript, when it was built, it was saying that we will not be so strict. Let's be easy. Come anytime to the office, do anything. But end of the day, of course, you give me the results. There's no question about it. In the similar fashion, it does not say that developers, please define the variables using a dim statement. What is a dim statement? How does it work? We will do more of this in the next session. But for example, I say V loan amount, V rate, comma, V term. This is optional. Optional to declare variables using dim statement. What does it mean? Dim is basically like a dimension, and every variable that you use can be defined or cannot be defined using dim. It is a general thumb rule and a good practice to define it. Okay. So for example, we're just saying that, hey, make sure that you eat a good healthy breakfast before you start your day. It's a general thumb rule, a general guidelines. Is it necessary? No, you can skip and go direct to lunch or dinner. Similarly, it does not say define it. So this is optional team. Okay. So even if I say no, it is fine. It will still run. But what will happen is issues like this can come up. So if I say option explicit, what it says is it is now mandatory to declare variables before using them. So the dim statement is needed. Now, having put option explicit, and not enabling line 3, which is commented. We run this code. Let us see what happens. And team, just for your own assurance, I want to make sure you understand that what I'm doing now is an introduction to these things. We will continue to use them often as we keep going through other projects, and you are exposed to a concept. We will keep going through that concept, and you will see that by the end of every project, oh, okay, so it will be like a good refresher for us. Now what has happened, team? Variable is undefined. Did we get this earlier, a message earlier, team, saying that the variable is undefined? No. Why are we getting it now? Because we put option explicit. And as a general thumb rule for a good programmer, it is always good to put option explicit, define your variables, and then do something called as initialize variables. Putting values into variables before you can start using them is called initializing. Okay, putting values before using them, using the variables, is called your initializing, or giving some initial values to it is called initializing the variables. Okay, now let us try and execute this again and see what happens. Okay, very good. It seems to be running. System util, even that's happening. Very good. Browser is launched. That's good sign for us. Let's see if it starts putting the value. Excellent. Now what happened? See, as you see, there's nothing that is showing up automatically. So try and click on this browser and you'll see there is a run error. What is the run error? It says variable is undefined. Why is the variable undefined? We define vterm. Yeah, but this seems to be VTARM, which is incorrect. So you're going to stop, you know, where line 27 is where the issue is, what the issue is, and go and fix it. So your basic option explicit is a great guide, especially when you work with such kind of programs. And for simple programs like this, you don't really appreciate the value. But just imagine if we write a code which is about 400, 500 lines, which is very easy for us to do, then it will become a nightmare for us to identify where the issue is, why is it happening, and so on. So our approach has to be good. Our methodology, our standards have to be good to be able to do it. And if you see, I also put V in front of everything. It is just a naming convention. That way it is easy for us to understand that as soon as I see it, it's a variable. Oh, V term is a variable. Oh, V rate is a variable, and so on. Now, let's do one more execution. And please, team, if you have any good questions which I could not handle earlier, now is a good time for you to please pick it up again from me and get your answers. So sorry, the session did go on a little longer than expected, but it was important for me to say. All right, team, I'm open for questions while the execution is happening. Please take your time and put it in so that I can patiently answer them. So I'm observing for two things. Number one, I'm not getting the same issue that we saw earlier out here, that loan term should be between 1 and 30 or so. The second thing is that we also seem to have received the mortgage repayment summary, correct? Is it mortgage? Yeah, mortgage repayment summary, where the monthly payment and all of this information is present. All right, great. So let me see a few questions that are relevant to what we have done today. Once again, if anything that's not relevant to what we have done or which is not technical from a project standpoint, I'm skipping. I'll not even say. Why are you using open parenthesis with click? Very good, Sumar. We will come to these concepts when we get into functions and methods. Okay, so we'll explore that. Let's see. We did not declare a variable. Old one. Let's see, 603. Script was working fine when passed the values directly. Then why we need variables and run into issues? Very good, Anil. Good question again. The reason is, for example, you buy a car. Your car is going beautiful at 40 miles per hour. Why are you not going at the same speed on the freeway? The freeway, number one, if you drive at 40 miles per hour and everyone is going at 70, you will get pulled over and you will get a ticket for slow driving. I don't know how many of you are aware, but you can also get a ticket for slow driving. Now, the car has various options. You have to change them. Okay, so these applications, you need to change the values. Now, you're seeing that we have one way of changing the values directly in the script, hard-coded, but when we do it through variables, there's a specific advantage, and you will see that advantage in the next session. Where can I find these videos? I haven't got any videos of day 1 and day 2. Also, how to connect with Google Drive. So Google Drive team, I don't know why it's not been shared yet, because I believe not many files yet onto it. And we are also using that for the videos, but we'll get it. Team, please make sure you go to itelearn.com. You will find the videos there. There's no question that you'll not find. I will try and quickly take you there. What is it saying? A website wants to open web content using the program on your computer. Don't allow for now. itelearn, is it here? Come on. Why? Come on. itelearn.oops. Just go under the events tab on itelearn.com team and you'll find it. I'll just quickly open it for you so that I can show it to you. So under events, UFT live training, April 2015, this is the one. Alright, you'll find it there. So that should not be an issue for any one of you. Okay, next question. Let's see. Is there any kind of macros to replace the replace statements, repeated statements, and so on? Not really macros, but we will use objects to do that for browser IE.page. That will be easy. If the environment is not ready, how can we run record? You're not doing record ekta. We're not even getting into the recording mode at all. We are only focused on doing execution from a standpoint of writing our own script. When you define dim, will there be a memory allocated to it? So Purandar, even if I use dim or I don't use dim, memory will still be allocated for the variables. I'm going to do debug run in the next session. We will go through every line, how the memory and variables are created during the debug run. Do we have to declare variables starting with V, or is it our choice? Very good, Sirisha. So it's basically a nomenclature. We are trying to make sure that we understand and see how and what it is, how is it going to be easy for anyone to read the code, and it is part of the best practice rather than anything else. All right, can we initialize a variable with, I'm just trying to take a few of these questions, with multiple values? No, you can initialize variable with one value, but as and when you want, you can change, and that is why it's called variable, because the values can be varying. How can we see multiple tests in Solution Explorer? Rashmi, you can only see one test. You can see multiple function libraries and so on, but only one test at a time, because once you open a test, the other test will go away for you. You're showing us why you typed web edit and the 4 options came up. You opened the object repository, shows how. I see. I didn't show why. I did. Actually, at that time, I said in the object repository, there was only 4 objects of type web edit, but for web button and so on, there's only one object of that type. So automatically that comes up, or it does not come up in this case. Karthik, in real projects, are the test cases written in one time for manual and automation testing? Maybe differently, team, because what happens sometimes, the manual testing has been done for years together on this application or in that company. Suddenly they have a new need saying that, hey, let's go automation route. And then they start converting the manual to automation. But let's say we start a new company or a new project altogether, and they'll say, let us start with manual and automation testing together. You can never ever replace the concept of manually testing applications, team. As part of it, how much can we automate is the only question. So it is always going to be manual. You may also do additional automation, which is what we're trying to get interested in. So Anita, for your question, here are the things. So there are 4 objects of web edit, 2 of select and 1 of button. So we will come to this execution as we go on. There's nothing much in Google Drive right now, team. You will get access to it. I will once again request my team to make sure that they send it across to you. In this project, we will validate the graphs. No, Gary, we will not. Is this writing from scratch of script? Yes. we are writing the script absolute from scratch. What do you mean by scratch? It's a blank white screen and we're starting to write from there. The calculate script, why did you put an open and close brackets here? So Anita, we will come to it. Why we're using brackets, why not specifically for methods, we will talk about it. Can we use submit instead on click in web button? Sure, Carly, go and try. I want you to explore and see, is there any other method? So you should be able to see for that object what are the methods that are there and play around. All right. Will the test data will be provided to us while writing the script? No, Tintu, sometimes yes it will be, but sometimes you have to go and bring that test data for yourself. You have to either create dummy data or go and request for fresh set of test data that has to be created so that you can start working. Alright, so team, yesterday's video, I don't know if it's there yet, but typically what happens is I convert it, I upload it, and then my team takes it, they kind of convert the video once again, and then upload it into YouTube or Visa, and then embed it into our website. So sometimes it will be delayed, but you should have the access. Alright everyone, that's it for today. I will see you on day 4, which is gonna be on Monday. Okay, as I said in the beginning of this, make sure that you are already into a premium membership if you plan to continue, because you will not get any communication otherwise, okay, with the new link. The calculate script, I think this I've answered. Define multiple values with variable is an array. So we're not getting into array yet. Can you execute UFT test in other browser? Yes, but we are focusing on one browser to get the foundation laid, and then we'll go to the other one. Can we validate the graphs based on different data? Certain times, yes. A lot of times, no, Gary. It's all dependent on how the images show up and how we are validating them. You can always do image to image comparison, but then you should have an expected image to an actual image to be able to compare them. Alright team, that's it from my side for today. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back on Monday on day 4, and we're going to go in a much faster manner. The speed is going to be increasing every day. So please make sure that you're practicing along with me. The videos will be available for you in a timely fashion. We will make sure that it will happen so that you can start practicing by watching the videos as well. Take care, have a good weekend, and feel free to interact with my team or call them if you have any question. They'll be glad to help you out. Thanks everyone. Bye then.